Hi, welcome to this video on playing face-up poker using Poker Aftermath. This is Matt Davis and I wrote the program. So I'd just like to thank you for downloading it. If you have not yet downloaded it, make sure you check the information below the YouTube video and there should be a link to the program there. And feel free to download that, to share that link with other friends that you think might enjoy the program. If you subscribe to this email channel, as new videos come out, you'll get notified about that. And then feel free to email me at pokeraftermath@gmail.com if you have any feedback on the video or on the program itself. Alright, so with all that being said, I do want to go ahead and jump in and show you how the face-up feature works. It may seem like a strange thing, but if you can see everybody's cards and you think about how you should play given what they have, that really can improve your poker play. A lot of times people have stated that you're not supposed to play your card, you're supposed to play the other man, right? But really what they mean by that is you're supposed to be playing against what you think they have and what will your bets do given the cards they probably have. So how can you do that when you don't know what they have if you haven't practiced doing it when you do know what they have? So this will show you how that works, and I think you'll find it kind of interesting to play this sort of style. So I'm going to do this in the context of a tournament. So I'm going to go ahead and select tournament mode and the World Series of Poker deep stack, and I'm going to do the daily deep stack with 15,000 in chips, so I need to click yes to make that happen. And then I'm going to click on show whole cards, and that will make it so that from here on out any hands I play will all be dealt face up, so we'll see how that works. Alright, so basically now I'm just going to start playing hands and they're all going to be dealt face up so we can see what everybody has, and I'm just going to think about how that should affect how we play. So we have a decent hand here of pocket sevens. We can see everybody else's hands. The only hand that we really would not want us to be playing against is probably the Jack King. The 8-10 will most likely fold. I think this isn't a bad spot for a raise. Maybe get out hands like the 8-10 and the 6-4 that have some chance of beating us. So I'm going to go ahead and raise. I'm not surprised that that person called, or this one. Now of course if a king or a jack or an ace comes, we're going to be behind, but we'll know it because we can see their cards. But none of that happened. In fact, we caught the 7, and fantastically this person has decided to bet into us. So they're kind of just bluffing here with their overcards and maybe hoping that we just had big cards. I think the worst thing we could do right now would be to raise. Well, folding would be the worst, but we wouldn't want to raise right here, I think, because they have no hand. So if we do that, they're just going to fold. So we can call. Maybe we would have raised there before, like what if they have a flush draw, right? But no, they're just bluffing here, so let's keep them on the hook and hope they bet again. So they check. Now we have two options here. We could bet to try and get some value, or we could check to hope that they either bluff again on the river or that they catch a card that will make them call, like a jack or a king. So either of those is okay. I suggest betting in this setting. I'll bet a small amount because they really don't have much, but maybe if it's a small amount they'll hope to catch a jack and a king, and we know with our 3 sevens that wouldn't be any good for them. And yeah, we got lucky there, so we got a little bit of extra money out of them by betting. And it's good to bet while they still have hope. If you bet on the river, their hope is gone. So I like to bet the turn. Oh, and then best of all, they just made a hand, so we should be able to bet again. I'm going to show you the what if button here. You could do this without this, but it's kind of useful. If you click on what if and you look down here, it shows you what it looks like to the other player that you might have. So 9-10 would be a straight, 5-6 would be a straight, jacks would be a set, and so on. So sevens is right here. There's our actual hand. That number right there shows you that 16.6% of the hands they view us as having would be sevens or better. So they wouldn't call any of those with just a jack, but they would call if they thought we had jack 10, and there's a decent part of our range that is better than that, but not much. Like if you look at queens, that beats them, and they think that 63% of our hands as queens are better. So because we bet last time, our hand looks pretty strong if we bet again, and it's kind of hard to get a lot of value out of this. So I might bet something small, like a third of the pot, and hope they decide to pay me off there. And that's probably right on the verge of what they would pay, and they did call us. All right, let's look at another hand. So of course the first thing to think is this is terrible, I should fold, but look around to see the other hands. I think we should fold because the king queen and the king 10 would probably call us if we raise, so just fold and move on. If you're curious about how the computer plays, you can watch it play these hands. Typically if I fold, I'll just skip and get out of there and go on to the next hand. Again, pretty bad, but my first instinct now is to look around the table and see if I raised, would anybody call me? The 2s maybe, and the ace 9 maybe. That's maybe worth it. Most of these hands should fold. We even got rid of the 2s, even got rid of the ace 9, so we won. But if either of those called, we'd still have the benefit of being able to see what they had when the flop comes and know where we stand. Again, a folding hand, but we probably should fold it because we have an ace 2 suited, a king 10 suited. Those would probably call us. We don't want to get the image of an absolute maniac raising every hand either, so it's not bad to fold some of the trashier ones. This looks playable, and because nobody raised, I would play it. You got to watch though, just don't, because you have 6s. What if this player has aces and that player has kings and you're caught in the middle of a raising war? But that's not the case here, so we'll go ahead and call. Actually, it was a check from the big blind. And odds are something bad will happen here, but let's see. Jack, Jack, 7. Does anybody have a jack? No. Does anybody have a 7? Yeah, a couple players. So pretty good chance they'll call at least one bet. So now you have to make a decision. Do you want to bet here and then hope you can get them to fold by continuing to bet and represent the jack? Or do you just want to wait for another moment? You got some other people that might call you with straight draws. I think I would just go ahead and check on this and get away from it. Though, if one of these guys with the 7s bets, we would have the option of raising and representing the jack. So we could consider that. Let's see what happens. Probably he'll just check. No, he bet. So this guy decided to fold. So if he thought his 7 was no good, surely if we raise, this guy won't think his 7 is good. So let's give that a try. These hands should all just disappear. And then he folded 2, right? If we bet out initially, maybe they would have folded, maybe they would have called, but by making that stronger move, we took down the pot with the worse hand. Again, kind of a folding hand here. There is a pair. We could maybe take down the blinds. It's not worth that much. I think you need to fold some hands just to keep your hand from not looking too, your style from not looking too aggressive, because the computer is paying attention to that. An ace, reasonably playable, but we're against a dominated hand. Let's just let that one go. You'll find that because you know their cards, you might be able to see flops and steal it away from them. But if you do that too much, you'll find out that you make it more of a struggle than it really needs to be. When you have a bad hand and somebody else has a good one, just get out of the way and wait for a better opportunity. Don't run your 6-5 against pocket 9s. Yeah, maybe overs will come and you could steal it, but when you can see the cards, there are better opportunities in front of you, and you can just wait until those opportunities present themselves. Alright, let's go ahead and skip through this one and just kind of keep up that strategy. So Queen 10 is decent, nothing better, so I'll go ahead and raise. Probably they'll all fold, which is fine. King 6, don't want to raise that into Ace Jack, so I'll fold. And skip through this. Again, watch those hands and deal them out if you're interested, but you don't need to. 5-6 versus a bunch of stuff that's not that great, but suited connectors, they might call. Let's just raise and see what happens here. Yeah, it looks like we're going to take that one. We certainly don't want to do anything here with the aces. You could call and then try and play a cheap pot, but in general, they have aces and you know it. You should just get out of the way. And should we fold this? It's so hard to not just instantly fold it, but you really should get in the habit of looking to say, what if I raised? And honestly, if we raised here, I bet all those hands would fold. So even though it's not a great hand, you notice that you don't have to have the best hand to win. You just have to have the right timing. But don't mess with kings, right? Let the sevens do battle with the kings. Of course, these players don't know what we have or what each other has. We're the only ones with this ability here to see everybody's hands when we check this mode. Alright, I don't think this is a great spot to do this, but I do want to show you just some moments of post-flop play and kind of what we can think about there. So we're in a pretty bad situation to try and win this. We do have a pair of threes, but the over pair is going to be hard to get to fold. So let's check. They'll probably bet. This hand will probably fold. I'll go ahead and call one here. We could try and raise, but because they would consider that we might have a flush draw or a 9, they're probably not going to fold the jacks, so I'm just going to call. Notice that when I decide to play this hand, I'm using chips up, or maybe I can steal the hand, so that's why it's best to usually just fold these, and now we got to give up. Right, we had this plan of maybe we could steal it from him, but the jack has come, so forget that plan, right? We can raise any amount we want. They have the nuts right now. They're not going to fold, so let's not waste chips trying to do something extra fancy. And you'll notice that the right play, even when you can see people's cards, is very often to fold. Because especially 10-handed, it's just really likely that there's a good hand out there somewhere, but not all the time. So here, these 3 hands that are left are not that great. This one's okay, and it might call us. And you might think of this as a better hand, but we're actually ahead with the 9, so the fact that they called us isn't terrible. We're not ahead anymore because they just made a pair of 7s. We still have a straight draw. We'd be really rooting for an 8 because that would make our straight and 2 pair for them. But what I would argue is our main path to winning isn't catching the 8. It's trying to convince them that we have a king or a 10. So I'm going to bet. We already raised, so a king and a 10 is believable from us, and they just decided to give up on their 7. If they didn't give up on this bet, if we keep pounding that news into them that we have a king or 10, they're going to go away. So you want to take advantage of being able to see their hand and think about, can I get them off of it with the right line of aggression? And anything good there? Nope, bunch of garbage, so we can raise them out. Here's our hand is clearly bad. Nothing too great there, but let's just let this go. Again, we're already showing up as a loose aggressive player to them. That's what the red indicates. And if we look too aggressive, they're not going to fold to our bluffs anymore. And we don't want to mess with the strong hands like the ace-jacks. So fold again. See if I can just find one more to play out for you, and then I think that's good enough for you to get the idea. A lot of strong hands here, so I forgot to look to see if we could have bluffed them out, but clearly no, not with the ace-king and the suited ace. Alright, King, Queen, this is a pretty bad spot to be in. Let's see if we can find a decent position to get involved and either win the hand outright or steal. Well, aces are a pretty good position for that. Should I raise? Probably get called by King, Queen, maybe even the Queen 10 once this hand calls, probably the 2s. I think it's worth a raise there. Even got called by the ace 8, so now we don't want a 7 to come, we don't want a 2 to come, we don't want another club to come. We don't want a king or an 8 to come. We don't want a 7 or a deuce to come. There's a lot of cards that would be bad for us. A 10 would make a straight for this guy. But we do have the best hand right now, so we should probably bet something pretty big like the size of the pot and see if we can get all those guys to fold. You don't really want them to call with all these draws they have against us. And if they do call, we're getting a good amount out of it, and we just hope our hand holds up one more street and we'll make them pay the price again. This guy might call us. He's got the nut flush draw now. You let it go because we bet enough. This guy will probably let that go too then. And we didn't get any extra value out, but there was so much opportunity to get beat. I don't think it was worth trying to go for the value. It was better just to win the hand there. And if they had called, that would have been great because they'd have been paying too much. So anyways, that gives you an idea of how you can play face up and get a sense for what to do. Here's a hand that's technically better than ours, but we have overs, so let's do battle against it. And then look, we won. We have the ace and the flush draw. They have 1-6 that could win. All right, and I would usually bet, see if they're willing to call with their pair. You could check there too, and see if you could get them to bluff later or pay us off later. But anyways, I think if you play that for a while, you get used to how people react and when to bet and when to check and when to just fold and give up. I think it's useful, and after a while you'll be able to start thinking that through even when the cards are hidden. Alright, thanks for watching this and for using the program. I hope you found that helpful. So good luck and enjoy.